Terrifying ghost sightings that will haunt you forever. The elevator doors slammed shut without a hand on them, and on the security screen, a woman in a long gray dress stood in the car, turning her face toward the camera like she could see us. Her eyes looked dark, like two coins. The car dropped one floor with no sound. The lights in our hallway flickered and cold slid over my ankles. Ethan whispered that this had to be a glitch. I shook my head. Glitches don't look back. We were new night guards at an old hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. By day, it was a postcard, white walls and a red roof with mountains behind. Past midnight, the carpet ate sound. The halls felt longer, and even the light seemed stretched too thin. On the screen, the woman didn't walk. She slid, smooth as fog. The doors tried to shut, then opened again like they were afraid to touch her. Her mouth moved, no sound. Yet I felt a whisper near my ear, as if the camera were inside my head. The car rose by itself. The numbers climbed. 2, 3, 4. It stopped. Of course it's the fourth, Ethan said. People joked about it. Footsteps, a rocking chair, a single piano note after midnight. It wasn't funny now. We grabbed the radio and a flashlight and rode up. When the doors opened on 4, cold air slipped around our legs like a cat. The hallway was straight and long. The carpet was deep red and swallowed our steps. Halfway down, a small wooden rocking chair sat where it didn't belong. The hotel never left chairs in the hall. It rocked once and stopped, like someone had just stood up. Ethan muttered that someone was messing with us. I wasn't sure anybody living was. I opened the camera app on my phone and tapped the view for the other elevator behind us. On my phone, its doors slid open. A dark shape spilled onto the carpet, then rose into the woman in gray. She leaned forward like she was smelling. The lights flickered. For 1 second, I saw a bright room long ago. Music, a locket at a woman's throat, snow blowing through an open door. Then the vision broke. The hall returned. The elevator waited, patient as a mouth. I lifted my phone. The feed showed us from above. 2 men at the doors, and a third shape like spilled ink between. "Close it," Ethan said. I hammered the buttons outside. The car ignored me. The fan hummed louder. My radio scratched. A thin voice tried to form, like Mr. Dalton calling through water, then stretched and snapped. Dead. The lights went out. My flashlight shrank to a weak glow. The gray dress brushed my shin. Fingers like cool air circled my wrist, gentle as a nurse. A whisper used my own breath. "Come back." The elevator chimed in the dark. Ding. We did not step forward, but my shoulder touched cold metal. The doors sealed with a soft thud. B1 glowed. The car moved. Numbers fell. 3, 2, 1, and kept going. The camera bubble blinked red, then went dark. The doors opened to black air that smelled like wet stone. We stepped out because standing still hurt worse. The elevator slid away, leaving drip and dust. My light found rough walls and old pipes. A dusty TV cart stood to the left. The screen was on, showing the 4th floor hallway and the rocking chair, empty and still. The picture flickered. The chair rocked once. A child's laugh floated out. A door that had been shut now stood open. Cold poured from it. On the floor inside, a tiny music box waited with its lid raised. The ballerina did not spin. One note rang again and again, like a word it couldn't say. From the dark beyond that door, a voice spoke my name, then Ethan's. The elevator bell chimed once more, but from inside that room. And the basement door behind us slammed, locking us in. The basement door slammed behind us with a force that shook the stone walls. Oh, and the sound echoed like thunder rolling through a cave. My flashlight beam shook across the concrete. Pipes rattled overhead. The air smelled wet and old, like stone soaked in rain. Ethan grabbed the handle and yanked. It didn't budge. Locked. "Of course," he whispered. His breath fogged the air. "They don't want us leaving." I didn't ask who they were. We both knew. We stood in a wide storage space beneath the hotel. Thick stone walls closed us in, and pillars rose out of the floor like tree trunks. Shadows sat heavy in the corners, thicker than shadows should be. My light slid across an old laundry cart, a mop bucket, and shelves stacked with folded sheets. Normal things. But even the normal felt wrong here, as though they were props in a room made for something else. A soft drip echoed from somewhere deeper. I counted each drop, waiting for the sound to steady me. But then, between drips, another sound came. A laugh, high, quick, and too far away to belong to anyone real. We froze. "It's a kid," I whispered, though my voice didn't believe it. "No kids are checked in tonight," Ethan said. Don't answer." The laugh came again, closer now, and then stopped. We walked slowly, moving our light from one stone wall to the next. That's when I saw it. A rolling TV cart shoved against the wall. Its dusty screen glowed, alive with static. Then the static cleared. The picture showed the fourth-floor hallway. The rocking chair sat empty. The elevator doors were wide open. And then, on the screen, the chair rocked once. We both jumped back as if the TV had shouted. The screen flickered, and the faint piano note played again. One key tapped, again and again, from nowhere. "Unplug it," Ethan said. I knelt and pulled the cord. The screen stayed on. The feed grew sharper, like the camera was leaning closer to the chair. The laugh rang out a third time, but then this time it didn't echo. It came from behind us. We turned fast. The door we had passed earlier, the one I swore was shut, now stood open. Cold poured from it. Inside the room, my flashlight beam caught a small box on the floor. A music box, lid open. A ballerina frozen mid-spin. One note rang again and again, like the gears were broken. And then the voice. It spoke my name. It spoke Ethan's name. Slow, kind, like it already knew us. "Do not go in there," Ethan hissed. But the air around us pulled toward the doorway, like the room itself was breathing us in. My feet slid an inch before I forced them still. I raised the flashlight higher. Dust on the wall beside the door held handprints. Not old, not fresh, just there. The kind you'd leave if you leaned too long. The ballerina stopped moving. The note died. The cold deepened. My light dimmed. And from inside the dark, I saw her. The gray woman, her shape forming slowly, as if the shadows had decided to gather into one body. Her dress looked heavy, dragging against the floor that wasn't really there. Her head tilted to the side. She whispered, and though her lips didn't move much, I heard the words clear. "You came back." My chest tightened. She wasn't just watching, she had been waiting. Ethan tugged my arm hard. "We are leaving. Now." We ran. Our shoes slapped the concrete. The shadows seemed to chase us, reaching with long fingers across the walls. We turned a corner, found another stairwell door, and shoved it open. It groaned like it hadn't been used in years. We rushed inside and climbed, 2 steps at a time. My legs burned, but fear was heavier than pain. On the landing, we stopped to catch our breath. The stairwell was darker than it should have been. The bulb above us glowed weak, yellow as an old candle. "Lobby," Ethan gasped. "We make it to the lobby, then we're done. We call Dalton. We quit. I don't care." He stopped, because someone else was breathing with us. Slow, steady, coming from the shadows above. I raised my light. It caught the shape of a woman, standing 3 flights up, head bowed, hair hanging over her face. She didn't move when the beam hit her. She only breathed, long and slow, the sound sliding down the stairwell like water. We ran again. Down the next flight, through another door, into the second-floor hallway. We thought we'd escaped, But every photo here too had been turned backward. And at the far end of the hall, the rocking chair waited. This time, it didn't just rock once. It rocked steadily, back and forth, back and forth. The chair creaked like a metronome, and with each rock, the lights dimmed. Ethan whispered, "She's moving closer." He was right. The hallway seemed to shrink, and the chair slid closer with every rock, even though it never left its spot. My phone buzzed. I looked at the screen. The live feed from the hall camera showed us frozen in the middle of the corridor, and the gray woman standing right behind us. I dropped the phone. It clattered against the carpet. The picture didn't change. On the floor, the screen still showed her closer. The chair stopped rocking. Silence fell. And then the lights went out. We couldn't see a thing, but I felt it. Cold fingers brushing against the back of my neck, gentle as a mother waking a child. And a voice, soft but sharp, whispered one word: "Forever." The air grew so heavy I could barely breathe. Ethan grabbed my arm, ready to run blind. But before we could move, the rocking chair slammed against the wall with a crash. And something in the dark took a step toward us. The crash of the rocking chair echoed like a gunshot down the second-floor hall. Splinters rattled across the carpet, but we couldn't see them. The lights were still out. All I had was the shaky circle of my flashlight, and even that felt thinner. Lol. Like the dark was eating the beam before it could stretch more than a few feet. Ethan pulled me hard. "Move!" We stumbled forward, not knowing where we were running, just desperate to get away from the sound of those footsteps in the dark. They weren't loud, they weren't heavy. They were soft, patient, like bare feet walking over carpet. We turned a corner, found the stairwell door, and shoved through. It slammed behind us, and for a moment the world felt solid again. Concrete, metal railings, yellow bulbs, normal. But halfway down, I stopped breathing. Someone else was already on the stairs. A figure stood 2 flights below, perfectly still. A woman in a gray dress. She didn't climb, didn't move. She just stood, her head tilted, her face hidden by the angle of the shadows. Yet the cold that poured upward told us she was watching. Ethan squeezed my arm. "Back up." We stepped backward, up toward the 3rd floor. The woman didn't move. She stayed rooted like a tree. But every time I blinked, she seemed closer. By the time we reached the landing, she was suddenly 1 step below us. I didn't see her walk. She just was there. I fumbled the handle for the 3rd floor door. It swung open into the hall. We darted through and slammed it shut. My flashlight beam wobbled across the carpet. This hall looked worse than before. Every photo had been pulled down completely, glass shattered across the floor. The faces were gone, as if the people in the pictures had walked out and left nothing behind. We didn't speak. We just kept moving, crunching glass under our shoes. Somewhere ahead, a faint sound tickled the silence. Piano keys. Not just one note anymore. A melody, broken and uneven, like someone trying to remember a song they hadn't played in years. The sound led us to the end of the hall, where a double door stood cracked open. The ballroom. I didn't want to go inside, but we had no choice. The other end of the hallway had collapsed into black, the shadows thicker than smoke, shifting like something alive. If we stayed, it would swallow us whole. We pushed into the ballroom. The huge space was colder than the hall. Moonlight bled through tall windows, making the chandelier sparkle faintly. A grand piano sat in the center of the floor. Its lid was open, its keys pressed down one by one, but no hands touched them. Ethan whispered, "This can't be real." The last note echoed long and sharp. Then the room went silent. The doors behind us slammed shut. We spun. The handles rattled. We yanked them, but they wouldn't budge. I turned back toward the piano just in time to see the bench slide backward, as if someone had stood. And then, in the reflection of the tall windows, I saw her. The woman in gray. Not standing by the piano, not across the room. She was behind us. Her face was closer than I'd ever seen. The skin was pale and stretched, as if it had been pressed too hard against glass. Her mouth opened slightly, but her lips didn't move like ours. The sound that came out was the sound of the piano, every note together at once, a scream of music. We clapped our hands to our ears. The glass in the chandeliers trembled. Moonlight flickered. My flashlight dropped and rolled across the floor, its beam spinning like a lighthouse. And then silence again. She was gone. But the piano bench scraped forward. Keys slammed down in a violent chord. The doors behind us burst open. We didn't wait. We ran through them, back into the hall. The hallway was different now. Longer, narrower. The carpet was no longer red but gray, dust lying thick on it. All the doors on either side stood open, and inside each room, shadows shifted, watching, waiting. We bolted forward, shoes sinking into the dust. Every door we passed groaned. Whispers leaked out, children laughing, men coughing, women sobbing softly. "Don't stop!" Ethan panted. The hallway ended at a stairwell we didn't remember. We shoved through, clattered down steps, and burst out into the lobby. But it wasn't the same lobby. The chandelier above us hung broken, its crystals scattered across the floor. The big windows showed no snow, no night sky, only black, endless black, as though the hotel floated in nothing. Ethan turned in a slow circle. "Where are we?" I shook my head. My heart hammered. Not home, not here. Then the elevator dinged. The sound was sharp and final. We looked. The door slid open slowly. The woman in gray stood inside, her head tilted, her eyes fixed on us. She raised her hand, pale and thin, and beckoned with one finger. Every door in the lobby slammed shut at once. There was no way out. The air grew heavier, pressing us down like water. The lights dimmed. The whisper came again, curling through every corner of the room. "Forever." Ethan grabbed my wrist, his grip desperate. "Don't move," he whispered. "If we move, we're done." But the ground beneath us shifted, carpet sliding like it was alive, pulling us inch by inch toward the elevator. The woman smiled, and the last thing I remember before the lights went out was that the smile wasn't cruel. It was welcoming, like she was glad we had finally come home.